North Carolina. I came to the University of Virginia in 1964 in graduate school working on my master's in history. I completed that and enrolled in a doctoral program in history at the university. But by early 68, frankly, I was getting tired. I was about out of money. I was tired of being in school and began looking for a job. And there was an opening at the University of Virginia's Eastern Shore branch at Wallops. I came over and interviewed for that position. The bridge tunnel was open then. That really was the first time that I'd ever truly seen the shore. I had been through here in either late 60 or early 61 going to Atlantic City. I remember coming across on the ferry. I remember driving up the shore, but it was nighttime, very foggy, so I didn't see anything. And when we came back from Atlantic City, it was night and a heavy fog. So I truly didn't see any of the shore until my interview. But I came over on a Saturday, interviewed. I liked what I saw, and I was offered the position and I accepted it. And one of the things that really appealed to me was I had grown up on a tobacco farm in North Carolina in a very rural setting. I was used to small communities, although I lived close to a town of about 15,000. But I only went there on Saturdays. So when I looked at the shore, the lifestyle I thought would appeal to me as well as the job. So I came here in 68 and, as I say, taught U.S. history. The branch had opened in 64. So when I came here, I didn't realize it at the time, but Virginia had already passed its community college bill in 66, and the handwriting really was sort of on the wall, although I didn't realize it when I interviewed and accepted the job, that at some point this branch would become a part of the Virginia Community College system. But I lived there in faculty housing from 68 until 71. In 71, the branch was officially transferred to the Virginia Community College system and renamed Eastern Shore Community College. And we were all alerted that at some point there would be a campus south at Melfa. So I moved south in 71 or 72 to North Chesconessix outside of Anancock. I lived there for 3 years. The college did move south to Melfa, to this new campus, and eventually I bought a house in Anancock, lived there for 15 years. It's sort of ironic. When I came to the shore and accepted the job, I thought I would like it, but I also thought I'll probably be here 2 or 3 years and then I'm out of here somewhere else. But I fell in love with the area. I enjoy the job. I enjoy the people. So I made the transition south to the community college. In the process, I moved and transitioned from the classroom where I taught history to being an administrator. Initially, I was appointed as acting Dean of Student Services, and after a year was promoted to the full title of Dean of Student Services, a position that I held with the community college for 25 years. And over that time, I missed the classroom and teaching, but I also came to realize that I thoroughly enjoyed administration, and it gave me a different perspective than simply being in the classroom with students. And of course, eventually, I was president of the community college for the last 10 years that I worked. I retired in 2006 and have been active in the community since then. Still miss the college, still very proud of it in my time here. When I went to the branch in 68, that year we had approximately 200 students. Probably 60 to 75 of those were enrolled in the college program, and the rest were in what were called extension classes. But they were not necessarily non-credit, but they were not in courses that were intended for college transfer. That was the peak of the enrollment up until we became a community college. But we were located in old, restored, and renovated Navy housing apartments that had been restored to classrooms, to a library, those kinds of facilities. So one of the first really monumental changes was the move south to Melfa, to a new campus and new facilities. It was almost as if you died and gone to heaven when you walked in the building and saw things that you did not have up at Wallops. much more modern labs and facilities, classrooms, actual nice seats for students, but a student lounge, a much more modern library. That was certainly a monumental change for us. So I would list that as probably number one. Secondly, the branch had 3 different directors from 64 to 68. And while I think they were all good, well-intentioned people, looking back, they weren't necessarily strong administrators. And in fairness to them, it was a precarious time with the community college already on the scene and in the background, so they probably were limited in what they could do. But the second major thing was having a full-time president who could help the institution grow. And of course, John Figge, my predecessor's president, was the first president. And John provided very good leadership for this institution. He had a vision for growth, and he had a knack, not just because he hired me, but for the other people he hired in key positions at the college. He brought in a very good faculty and very good team. So that was a second milestone. If I look past John's tenure when I became president, I think one of the things that I'm most proud that I did with this institution, at the time there was an Eastern Shore College Foundation, but the foundation was totally private. It provided scholarships for students who came to the college, but it also could provide money for students going to other colleges as well. Its purpose and its function was to assist students. It was not an Eastern Shore Community College Foundation as such. At the time, we were the only community college in Virginia out of all 23 that did not have its own foundation. And one of my goals from the time I was inaugurated as president was that we have to have our own foundation, one that's primary purpose is to assist Eastern Shore Community College. That doesn't mean that you don't provide scholarships for students. You still do that, but that is only one component. The larger picture is the institution, its growth and development. And it took about a year of negotiating with the old foundation officials, many of them close friends of mine, because they were reluctant to give up their autonomy, their independence, and reluctant to move to a different mission and purpose. We finally agreed, and they became community college. So the foundation that you see today, that I consider one of the real milestones. I guess the last would be one of them I was involved in, and I'm not saying it to take credit, but I think it, for the future, will make an enormous difference in this institution. There are 2 things. The first is the Workforce Development Center. Before I retired, I had raised the overwhelming bulk of the money for that building. And although I retired early and did not see its completion, I consider that a milestone because that building and the new academic building, which I had nothing to do with that, prayed for it while I was working because we all wanted a new building. But those 2 buildings, I think, have provided an array of facilities. And more important, I think they've changed the image of this institution. When people look and see a single building, you have a certain concept. When you see multiple buildings, I think it changes your image of the quality of the institution, what it can do, what it can provide for the community. Those are really some key milestones that I would say. I know when I was here as Dean of Student Services and later as president, and I think it's been true since then, for a small institution, Eastern Shore Community College has had one of the best faculties I have seen at any institution. I've been to the other 23 community colleges. I've been to numerous senior institutions, universities, and while our faculty don't have the publishing credentials that you find at other places, the faculty here in their teaching skills, I'll put up against any. And I include many that I had at the University of Virginia. They're really outstanding, and I don't think the faculty here ever received the credit or the appreciation out in the community that they truly deserved. Secondly, for a long time, I think there has been a perception that if you don't go away to a four-year institution so that you can have the so-called college or university experience, that you can be in a fraternity or a sorority, or you can go to football games. And I'm not belittling those. I'm very proud of my 2 degrees from the University of Virginia. But I think parents are beginning to change their perception and to recognize not only the quality of Eastern Shore Community College, but the monetary savings and the benefit to them. You can come here and literally save half of the cost of college. And for a son or daughter who gets a great start here and transfers elsewhere, their track record is just outstanding. So I guess I have been frustrated over the years with the perception that this wasn't necessarily a quality institution, didn't have the best faculty, that the only people who go there are students who can't go anywhere else. And sometimes because of geography or family commitments, that's been true. But it's not true because of quality, and it's not true because good students don't come here. They do. And I'm glad to see that that image has slowly changed. I think now, when I hear comments about this institution, they're very favorable. And for that, I'm very thankful.